And as of 8:09, we are officially live on Facebook and YouTube. The link is posted as advertised in the QR codes in our teaser, as well as the official Facebook page of Rotary Club of West Cagayan. We will properly acknowledge him later, but welcome to our class and this presentation and guesting of our very own Dr. Dures. Let us welcome Dr. Edwin Chiongdo, our Dean of the CU Graduate School. Welcome back to CDO, sir. Miss Marie, if the Dr. Do is okay, the microphone is yours so that we can officially start and end by 10 a.m. as scheduled.
Good morning, everyone. I will now turn over to the hosts, Ms. Diane Feber-Tolome and Ms. Tennessee Yanyas.
Thank you, Ma'am Marie. Good morning, classmates, and good morning, Doc Clifford, and also a pleasant morning to our Dean of the Graduate School, Dr. Edwin Do, and our resource speaker, Dr. Dures Tagayuna. Good morning, Doc, and welcome. I am Diana Fe Bartolome, and it's my pleasure to be your moderator for today's webinar with the theme Cyber Talks, Talks for Technology, Applications, Leadership, and Knowledge series. And as we are about to begin our webinar, I am requesting everyone to kindly turn off your microphones for the entire webinar to avoid background noise. And let us start our webinar by putting ourselves in the holy presence of God our Father as we offer him a prayer, followed by the playing of the national anthem and CU hymn to be facilitated by Mr. Carl Solarte. Sir Carl?
God our Father, we come to you in our need to ask your protection against the COVID-19 that has disturbed and even claimed lives. We pray that you guide the people tasked to find cures for this disease and stem its transmission. Protect the medical experts that they may minister to the sick with competence and compassion. We pray for those afflicted. May they be restored to health soon. Protect those who care for them. Grant eternal rest to those who have died. Give us the grace in this trying time to work for the good of all, to help those in need. We implore you to stop the spread of this virus and to save us from our fears. Grant all this through our Lord Jesus Christ, your Son, who lives and reigns with you in the unity of the Holy Spirit, God forever and ever. Amen. We fly to your protection, O Holy Mother of God. Do not despise our petition in our necessities, but deliver us always from all dangers. O glorious and blessed Virgin. Amen. Our Lady, Health of the Sick, pray for us. Saint Raphael the Archangel, pray for us. Saint Roch, pray for us. Saint Lawrence Ruiz, pray for us. Saint Pedro Calungsod, pray for us.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas. Kayang magiliw, ewas ng sinakalan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyag ka ng magiting, sa mandulupin, di ka pasisingil, sa nagatang tutok sa simoy at sa langit kong pagaw, ay hinatang tula, kawin sa pagkayang minamahal. Ang islang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na nagtitingin, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magtitingin. Luman ang araw ng walhagit pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Ang hindi kaya na pagkay mga api, at mamatay ng dahil sa'yo. Sing and bless all your true friends of devotion and faith. See you renowned in many festivals of future and of faith. Voices echo in unison. As one, singing together the same song, ever grateful for all you have done. And to thee, our alma mater, hail, hail, we greet thee forevermore. We may cross the oceans and the hills while we travel, but treasure you from shore to shore. See you, pride of our nation, sail on thy voyage, come and smooth. You are our dedication, dedication to our youth. And to thee, our alma mater, hail, hail, we greet thee forevermore. We may cross the oceans and the hills while we travel, but treasure you from shore to shore. See you, pride of our nation, sail on thy voyage, come and smooth. You are our dedication, dedication to
Once again, a very good morning, everyone. I hope you have all taken your breakfast or coffee, perhaps. And I do hope that you are in the most comfortable spot in your homes or offices right now. And I would like to request our very supportive Dean, Dr. Edwin Do, for an inspirational message. Dr. Do. And classmates, please help me in welcoming Dr. Do with a round of virtual applause.
Yes, good morning to everyone. I thought you have a poster or something. Can you flash your poster so we can read the title of your webinar? Hindi ko nakita yung copy, but anyway, can somebody flash a poster for your webinar? Anyone? So this is a good opportunity for us to learn from an expert, as our graduate school is. Oh, that's great. That's wonderful. Ganda. Okay. So that's one moment. Okay. All right. So good morning once again, and this is a great opportunity for us to showcase, of course, what our course program always provides, and that is to present or demonstrate a presentation from the experts. In graduate school, we always endeavor to secure resource speakers who can augment or supplement the learning process. So I'm glad that this is a topic that is also coincide with the times, because we all know that our country and the whole world is affected by health issues, and number one of that, of course, is COVID. And so I am truly elated on this, and the delight on this topic that is on hospital administration, cyber talks on hospital administration. And in any organization, we always strive for excellence. And it is also with great and profound vision that Capital University presents itself as an institution of learning that endeavors to provide quality of life or enhancement of our quality of life. And therefore, through learning, we can acquire knowledge, skills, and competence. So I would like to welcome everyone to this webinar, most especially our resource speaker, Dr. Dures Tagayuna, the president of St. Francis Doctors Hospital and Medical Center. So I am glad to know that I am very sorry. I haven't really passed by this hospital. I looked at it on the Facebook last night and noticed that this is located in Uptown, Xavier Estates. That is a very welcome. I would like to visit that hospital one of these days, Dr. Tagayuna. Yes, actually, I live just down the Uptown. I am in Ipunan, so that would be. I go to SM once in a while, so this is a very welcome hospital in our community, especially in that area. No? So my first time to hear about this hospital. I am glad that we could learn from you on this. No? So we are grateful, we are happy that we can have resource speakers, experts in the field who can share with us their knowledge, their expertise. No? And this is really the essence of graduate school. We go out of the box. We are not confined only in the classroom or in your virtual, shall we say, virtual classroom, but we endeavor to invite other organizations to share to our students their expertise. And so the professor is a facilitator, but at the same time, he also has an array of resources and materials, and most especially, of course, resource speakers that can help him in sharing and in presenting the subject matter. So it is with this great opportunity that we can hear from Dr. Tagayuna and to all the students of global entrepreneurship. Okay, this is really a great time for you to learn, and also that you can hear on the side of what is happening in our health and especially in the field of hospital administration. So welcome one and all. Thank you for joining us, everyone, and to Dr. Clifford, soon to be Dr. Professor Clifford Roa. Congratulations, Sir Clifford. And also, I would like to, I haven't publicly congratulated Dr. to be Clifford as an awardee of the recent, I'm sorry, Sir Clifford, what was that organization? Being the president of Rotary West Cagayan de Oro. I think you were awarded by an organization. So congratulations, Sir Clifford. You deserve such an award. No? And so thank you to the organizers. Congratulations also for this Cyber Talks. So thank you for inviting me, and welcome to everyone. Have a nice day and have a fruitful webinar to all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Do. And classmates, let us all get to know our speaker better. So let's call on Miss Marie Dalman to do the honor of introducing our resource speaker, Ma'am Marie.
Good morning once again. It's a very sunny morning, very far from the time when a death ravaged our locality. And we are so glad to have with us this morning a doctor of medicine, wherein she specializes in pediatric surgery. In her professional career, she has been a faculty of various school of medicine, one of which is University of Santo Tomas, Faculty of Medicine and Surgery back in the 80s. And she was also involved with St. Martin de Porres Charity Hospital in general surgery as chief resident from 1986 to 1993. Pediatric surgery of the same hospital as chief fellow from 1994 to 1996. She was a observational fellowship in pediatric surgery in University of Cincinnati in 1998, and in pediatric laparoscopic training, rotating fellowship back in 2009 in National Children's Hospital in Hanoi, Vietnam. She is a diplomate in general surgery, Philippine Board of Surgery, a diplomate in pediatric surgery, Philippine Board of Pediatric Surgery. She was an instructor in pediatric advanced life support, neonatal advanced life support, and a provider, instructor, course director in advanced trauma life support. She holds a Master of Science in Health and Hospital Management from Xavier University. And while very professionally active, she is also a leader in professional, civic, and religious organizations. She's a lifelong member of the Light of the World Catholic Charismatic Community and an active lector and choir member of the St. Francis Xavier Parish. She is the Vice President and Club Administration Chairman of Rotary Club of West Cagayan de Oro. Let's welcome also her being chair of the Department of Surgery in Xavier University, Jose P. Rizal School of Medicine. Friends, Dr. Du, professor and guest, the president of St. Francis Doctors Hospital and Medical Center. A warm applause for Dr. Dures Escaro Tagayuna.
Thank you, Mama Marie. The Dean of Graduate School, Dr. Edwin C. Du. It's really a pleasure to hear words from you. And my president, President Dr. Naba, Professor CliffordRoa.Online, a good friend also. Of course, Mama Marie, your president, your class president, and Ma'am Dayan, the moderator, and all those who are present in this room as well as on YouTube. And a special shout out to my brother out there, Darwin Joseph Escaro, and my husband who's listening here beside me. Good morning, everyone. It's a very pleasant day to share with you a few things that that I know of, and it was quite a surprise to have received the title of the lecture, which was World-Class Leadership and Hospital Administration. And I was kind of taken aback with that because I do not consider myself world-class leader. And also I keep telling my daughter that you become a leader when somebody says that to you. It's not for you to say that I'm world-class. But anyway, so I decided, Mama Marie, that for today, I would just have to share with you my leadership journey and intersperse it with a few pearls. I call them pearls as they were the things that were very important to me on my journey as a leader. So you can see my slides.
Yes, Doc.
Okay. I have nothing to disclose. This is who I am. Part of the church. I like to travel. This is my daughter. I have only one daughter. I love my Rotary work. I love being a teacher, but operating on very small babies is what I like to do best, especially the one less than 1 month old. I'm also a leader in my organizations, and running for another office in the Philippine Medical Association. So the outline of my presentation, I wanted to just divide it into two. What I look at leadership, how leadership is for me, like define it, how it started, how I went there. When did I say I was already a leader? Of course, people said that to me. And then what is next? And what is next is really hospital administration. And I'd like to just introduce to you St. Francis Doctors Hospital and Medical Center. So when I said earlier that I will give a few pearls, I'd like to just give in some things like when it started, you need to accept it. What was the root? And that was a training. And when I was a leader, then I realized that this is really a covenant between me and those who allowed me to become their leader. And what is next really is St. Francis. That's for me. And I'll share that also. How did it start? I grew up in Del Monte, and my father and my family was very, if you know Del Monte, Bukidnon, it's really just around the plaza. We live around the plaza, and in the plaza is, across the plaza is the church. And practically everything happened there. We did not start anything unless there was a mass that started it. And my father, Engineer Celestino Escaro, was the head of the KFC, and he was also Corsilio, and he was a Catholic defender. And we always had a lot of people in the house. And I was looking at it as a young girl and I was saying, people listened to him. Why was this? That was my background. My mother was also a teacher, and even if she had to walk 15 to 30 minutes to go from Camp 9 to Laturan, she would walk because she liked teaching. and both of them were speakers for the Family Life Apostolate. So that was the kind of background I had when I was a little girl. And then I went to school, and the very first instance that I felt like I knew something beyond the academics was that we were doing a science project one day, and I just necessarily I moved myself from the others so that they would not get hurt by what I was doing. I was going to pound onto a rock. And the teacher said, that kind of attitude of protecting others is leadership. And I did not quite understand what that is, but I kind of remember what that was, the experience. And then in church, it was always a joy to be chosen to read at Mass, such that I would even be a one-man show at Mass. I would read, I would play the guitar and sing also. I was a very good singer, but that's what I was. And then in high school, lo and behold, I did not know why, I was chosen as the corps commander. And that was to lead so many people. And so I said, what should I do? And I started to read about it. And I turned out to be a very strict corps commander. I brought the entire the entire battalion to a, we walked from Lourdes College here in Cagayan de Oro all the way to Bonbon. And, they were all fourth year students, high school students, girls. So they said, oh, I was an autocratic leader. So, and I said, I didn't want to do that. And I was also then in the science club, but those were my beginnings as a leader. And in college, I did join organizations, but what was more important was this was the time when I discovered the Catholic Charismatic Renewal. And at this point, I was just very satisfied at being part of the group. And I felt that it was just right for me. And during the summer times, in college, I was in the accelerated class of pre-med, which means I took it in 3 years, but that also meant that we just crammed everything in 3 years. So I was not able to come home to Cagayan de Oro for my vacation, but instead I would work secretarial job for those of our leaders. So that was that again, I think that was where I saw what leadership was from those that I did secretarial work on. And mind you, I did not earn anything from them. So I did learn how to be a leader. And I went into medicine at the University of Santo Tomas. And at this time, I stepped back. I said, I'm not going to be anything but a medical student. I want to graduate a doctor because that's what I was going to, I wanted to be. And I was going to be the first doctor in the family. But I don't know, maybe that's why I say, you don't say you're a leader. It's somebody who chooses you to be a leader. But there were pockets of where I would be chosen to be to conduct a meeting. And the most important thing for me was when I was chosen to be the team leader for a competition in a science project, and that was a parasitology class. And somehow I said, maybe there's something in me. That's why they see that. But I did not really feel that I was then a leader. It was really a step back from medical school. So now let me just segue into, then this came to my mind, are leaders born or made? And I'm sure you've heard about this. I'll just be very brief about this. But in 2014, which I certainly believed in, leadership is probably then genetic. Probably I got it from my mother and my father. But then it is also 70% learned. Because if I do not study about being a leader, then I'll probably not be a good one. So a person can be born with natural leadership and can also learn to be a good leader. And so that is how I felt leadership was. Because, ability to train leaders is really excellent news. When you move forward as a hospital administrator, it would be very frustrating if we will have to wait and wait and wait for a good leader to come along. I'd rather, find somebody with a very good attitude and then teach them how to become what we need them to be. Okay, so there are two sides to the coin, of course. Leaders are born, and there are twin studies about this. So twins are very good controls because if they're like 100% genetic the same, and the others, the fraternal, and the others would be 50% the same. So you'd have a control right away. And Deneve, who's one of the experts here, says that with shared environment experiences, they only get 10%, while for genetics, it's about 24%. So that's the issue about leaders are born. But also, there are statistical flaws in the twin studies evaluating leadership. And there are very many examples in history that, they started out as they started out in humble beginnings, and then they become leaders with practically no leaders in their family. So individuals can then learn to be and the skills to be outstanding leaders. And there was a program in the University of Illinois that says that they did train, and eventually they had a different set of students when they first started and when they learned. So there is then a good argument for leaders being made. I still believe they are born. There's some of them are born and some of them are made. Okay, so what was the route for me on the route to become a leader? The word I'd like to share is training. Well, this kind of training first, though, I'll talk about is the training I had as a medical physician, as a pediatric surgeon. I wanted to become a general surgeon, but during those days, when I applied for a position in general surgery where we operate, I was told there's no room for women in surgery. I felt so devastated because I really felt I was better with my hands than with taking care of diabetes or hypertension. So I wanted to operate. A little, I'm also a little impatient. I see a buccal, I'd like to remove it, and I'm done. That's surgery. Okay, rather than hypertension, and if you eat a lot, it's Christmas, then all the hypertension shoots up to the roof, and then you have to manage them again. And then after Christmas, they're all good. And then comes Valentine's Day, and they eat again, and the blood pressure goes up and down. So anyway, I said I wanted to go into surgery, and I was told, no women in surgery. But that did not really put me down. I looked for another hospital, and my husband is listening, but the story has to be told. My boyfriend then had his father was the chief of clinics in another hospital. So I went there and I said I wanted to become a general surgeon, and I was his pet because of course I was the girlfriend. And she said, okay, come in here to our hospital. And so I went into St. Martin de Porres Charity Hospital, and this was in San Juan. And we had a very good support. We had very good support from then Mayor Estrada, who would give us patients and also funding for these patients. So I was pushed there, and we created the Department of Surgery. And so I was chief resident for 5 years. And that's mainly where I learned how to become a leader. And since I was pushed into that position, I did not want to, want to just be mediocre. And even if we were in a charity hospital, I thought that we needed to become good and of national or global quality. So I entered into a lot of leadership trainings. Then let me just leave that for a while, and then I came home. And as you mentioned earlier, Mama Marie, I took up all the exams that I needed to take, and there was like 6 exams, diplomate exams, fellowship exams, just took everything so that when I came home, I had the qualification standards to come home here. And then I went into Northern Mindanao Medical Center. And since I had the qualifications, and they probably didn't know if I was a leader or not, but since I had all those letters after my name, the FBCS, the FPSS, all of that, then they said, oh, you become the chairman, because that's the rule of the government at that time. So I became chairman of the NMMC, and there I discovered that I really liked the training of the doctors. So if you look at the Northern Mindanao surgeons, the young ones, most of them went through our training program at the Northern Mindanao Medical Center. I'm really, really proud of all of them. And then I took a short stint at the J.R. Borja General Hospital, and that's where I discovered that I needed to learn so much more as a hospital administrator. That's why I went into the master's degree program in hospital administration. But that was a very good experience for me, because it was also where I learned how to really relate to different kinds of people in the hospital setting. Previously, it was just always, most of the time, surgeons, physicians, nurses. And this time it was everyone in the hospital. So let me again segue do the leadership styles as the as an offshoot of all the trainings that I had as a young physician at the Northern Mindanao Medical Center and single then. Whenever there was training, they'd always look for somebody who would want to leave for like 3 days or 4 weeks or weeks. And I would be willing to do it all the time. So I got everything. And I would just like to just share a few things now. We don't really have so much time to share all of that. But then I saw that leadership styles could be autocratic, democratic, laissez-faire, or paternalistic. And so autocratic means that the leader would make decisions without reference to anyone else. You did discover one day that there's something that you need to do. There's a high degree of dependency on the leader and can create demotivation and alienation to staff. That's the negative there. But it is also valuable in some types of business where decisions need to be made quickly and decisively. And that is right in surgery. I always say in surgery, when we train, you have to obey first, and then you question me later. Especially if in a position of leadership, I'm the surgeon in charge, you obey me first, so we save our patient, and then let's thresh out your questions about how I took care of the patient after the patient is already stable. So in that sense, this was quite okay. You just had to temper it. And then there's democratic, where you have to look for all the perspectives. And I like this also because it's the consultative process. I do not like an organization that has a one thing. Everybody thinks in the same manner. You're not going to cover anything much. That's why I also like a coalition, and I'm also running for the city councilor, and we are in a coalition, and I like it because there are different minds working towards one goal. But there's also persuasiveness, that when you see that there's something good, you have to be able to convince others. First of all, you have to convince yourself that that's the right thing for everyone or for the majority, and you should be able to convince others. And that's so in the democratic, there's motivation and involvement of others, and the workers are like in the hospital, they have to feel an ownership. And in training residents, I'd say you have to own the patient. Even the medical students who come into the school, I say into the clinics, I have to say you have to own the patient, meaning know and take care of them with your heart, not only with your mind. So this really improves the sharing of ideas and experiences. Unfortunately, it can also delay decision making when you have to keep on asking everybody, and not everybody can think or act or decide as fast as you may on your feet. So that's just the downside to this one. And the laissez-faire is that it should be shared by everybody. You just sit down, I'm just the president, and whatever comes along, let's just have it. So, but then this can be highly motivational when people have a control over their lives, and sometimes, like especially in I discovered in IT, information technology, they just have so many ideas, and SOCMED, they have so many ideas, and you really just want to let them grow with that and then meld that together with a democratic process. And then when you've decided it, then you go autocratic about it. Okay, that's how I see it then. All right. And but the positional view of leadership, I seem to miss out on one slide. It's paternalistic. It's really just becoming a mother to it and putting care and all of that. But anyway, let me just go into the positional view of leadership. This I learned, that it doesn't really matter if you live in a year in a cave. That doesn't make you a geologist. That means that if you are in 4th year, then you are a better leader than that who is in the 1st year. Not necessarily. But I think it's still best that when you do have the genetics for leadership, you have to be open and accept the covenant of having to train and then implement it. Okay? So now, when did I say I was a leader? When did I say I was a leader to my family? I normally don't shout it out to the world. I just say it to my family. So that's my brother Darwin here. he calls me, we all call each other Manang or Manong. So our brother Don is our Manong, and I am Manang to the Bayan, even if they are ages older than me, I'm Manang. But my brother calls me Reg, and that's because I was a regent for the Philippine College of Surgeons as a national officer for 7 years, and this is going to be my 8th year this year. And when he calls me Reg, I don't correct him anymore, because then I say, maybe then I'm really a leader. Okay, so while we're talking about leadership, I wanted, there are many theories of leadership, but I just wanted to show you the two that I worked on. And this is the transactional leadership and the transformational leadership. And if you ask me what I am, I really preferred to be called a transformational leader. I'll show you why. But in essence, transactional leadership is also needed. So what is the leader's source of power in a transactional leadership? Is really rank and position, while in transformational, it's character and competence. It's what you are and what you know how to do. Follower reaction, you have people in transactional leadership is really compliance. There's this set of rules they're going to have to follow because that's what the rule says. But here in transformational leadership, I prefer that people have a commitment to what they want to do. Even if it's a business, there needs to be a commitment because they believe in it and they own the business also. Own it meaning they are part of it. They might not be the investor, but they're part of it. And time frame is really just short term. Most of the time when it's a transaction and they come in just to do something project based or something like that, it's just short time. But long term, like the St. Francis that we have put together, our tagline there among ourselves when we started was growing old together. That's what we want to do. And for the words, which is really necessary in transactional leadership, is you follow because I will give you this pay, you will have this kind of promotion. But with transformational leadership, there is providing them the room to have pride and self-esteem in what they do, satisfaction in doing what they do best. And for supervision, this is really important because since it's transactional, you're going to have to check on them all the time. But since they're committed in transformational leadership, it's less important. Just have to know if you can trust them at the very start, check on them once in a while. And supervision is not really that big of an issue to me. But it's not enough that you let them be because they're committed. There needs to be some follow-up also. So there's really a compliance officer thereabouts to be able to check on them once in a while. Counseling focus is the evaluation of what they did. But the counseling focus in transformational leadership, which I really look to, is that everyone should be able to develop themselves. Not not be the same person when they enter day 1 and day 365. There should be a different person because of the process of development. Follower behavior is where the change occurs. Follower attitudes and values is what happens in transformational leadership. And for the leaders, where is the leadership found? It's in the leader's behavior for the transactional. So if you do this, they'll follow you. But in the leadership for transformational, it's what happens in her heart, his heart. So, but then is one better than the other? I don't really think so. I feel that both, and I found this in a diagram by James McGregor Burns, and he's a very good authority on leadership studies. And there's transformational leadership up here, and there's transactional leadership up here. It's contingent on the reward. There's managing the exception, and you have expected outcomes. But when you have idealized influence, you have inspirational motivation, intellectual stimulation, individual consideration, you get performance beyond expectation. So that's the kind of marriage of the transactional and transformational leadership that I have tried to imbibe over the number of years that I have been as a physician and a doctor, and that's more than 30 years already. So when did I know that I was a leader already? When did I tell my family? Because I normally just go rush to my mother, but she died already. And my family, when there's something that happens to me, and I said, I think I'm a leader already, because I continue to be a a director for the Philippine Society of Pediatric Surgeons. They may just be 50 all over the country. I've been part of the council for over 8 years. For the PCS, the Philippine College of Surgeons, where my brother calls me Reg and a regent for about 8th year now, for 3,000 surgeons. But I used to be the PTA president for the Oral Christian Grade School, and that really gave me a lot of joy to be, and that's probably 30 or so parents. And recently, 2 years ago, the Philippine Medical Association of 80,000 Filipino physicians who who allowed me to become their national treasurer. And then I went right back down to 15 members of the Village Pastoral Council. And now the president for the St. Francis Doctors Hospital and Medical Center. And that's over about 80 of us over there. So I guess this is the affirmation of my leadership and my leadership journey so far. So now what is next? Here I'd like to segue into talking about St. Francis Doctors Hospital and Medical Center. So this is me coming into St. Francis Doctors Hospital Medical Center. But for now, we are going to we are going to be working under the business of St. Francis Doctors Medical and Diagnostic Facility. And let me just explain to you that in the next few slides. So this is going to be my outline. And in 2015, the company was created, but I came in 2016 after I ran for city councilor in 2016 and I lost. And after I lost, during that campaign period, I woke up one day and I discovered I was the president. They chose me to be president. So I said, I will take care of this. And the board were very happy when I did not win. I was not very happy that I did not win, but they were happy because then I was able to focus on the hospital. And here we then started to do focus group discussions, small group discussions, and what do people in Cagayan de Oro want out of a new hospital? And we were a little scared because it was going to be like a 1 billion investment, but we trusted that if you build it, we will come. And that was the movie of Field of Dreams at that time. And I trusted that. And of course, with a lot of prayers. So what is the history of St. Francis Doctors? And that's our branding. We call ourselves St. Francis Doctors. I refuse to call ourselves SFD agency. It's so, just so like boxed in. Anyway, so in December 2015, there was a meeting with Dr. Singh. Dr. Singh is an orthopedic surgeon of Indian origin. He grew up and became a doctor in India, but he went to the Middle East to work there, and he met his wife, his present wife, Elsa Singh, an obstetrician there. But when the war broke out, they came home to the Philippines, and they developed hospitals. So we are the 30th hospital, and they probably have 37 already as of this day. Okay, and then I told you the story about going through the campaign period, and after the campaign period, I decided to sit down and work on the St. Francis Doctors. And over that time, about June, July, we were getting the floor plan from an architect in Manila. And I guess I have to say that I'm homegrown, and I really want to encourage talent from our city, because that would be easier. And it looked like it was going to be easy because we couldn't match what we wanted from what they wanted. They wanted a small hospital. I said, you cannot compete with the hospital systems here in Cagayan de Oro if you're just a small hospital, because they're big hospitals already. We needed to have something that was beautiful. And in the focus group discussions, they said they wanted something that looked like a hotel, but was really a hospital. So we eventually had to make the decision to drop our architect in Manila. And it was such a turmoil, but I felt I was a leader then when I said, no, we had to get something here. And you have to scream and shout. I had to be just firm about it. And so we got architect Tumula and then put together in 3 months, we were able to put together the floor plan for a hospital, 10-story hospital, which we submitted to the OH, and in 2 months, they gave us the permit to construct for a level 2 hospital. And we were told that this was like one of the first. They normally take very long to give us permit to construct, but we were very fortunate to do that. But of course, it's because we were so hands-on on the creation. And in February of 2017, we started to do land clearing. And the year after, we applied for a loan. Of course, since it was a 1 billion investment, we needed a loan. And we got the approval in 2019. And then, lo and behold, there was a pandemic. So it really slowed us down a bit. But with that as it may, in January of last year, we decided that we had taken out a loan, and that was a sizable amount, and we were going to have to start paying. We started paying interest, and we were going to be paying our principal. So we had to do something about it. So instead of waiting for the entire hospital, the board decided that we will open an infirmary. And that's why we are now called the medical and diagnostic facility. We will just be opening 4 floors of the hospital at this time. But the structure is finished already. We just cannot complete it yet. So in March 2021, we submitted the intent to establish an infirmary, and we also applied for occupancy permit, fire permit application. And in October of 2021, despite all these applications, we did the topping off ceremony as the structure was done already. And we also had pledging ceremonies for our employees that we had already started to hire. And in that month also, we got the approval and the permit to construct. And this was the first step towards establishing the infirmary. And in December, we had the DOH license to operate, the occupancy permit, and the business permit. In December, however, we felt that we needed to give back to the community, and as a corporate social responsibility, we opened our doors, even if we had not started, to national vaccination days, and served about 3,000 of our Tagayanons, and vaccinated over 2,500 vaccines. Okay, so what was the vision of our hospital? And we thought that it's really, we normally say, what's the vision of a hospital? We want to have global standards. We want to give holistic medical care, but we wanted to push it. If we are looking at a vision of 5 years from now, we wanted our hospital to take care of the ASEAN patient, not only the Filipino patient. Why? Because there are so many of us Cagayanos who are out in Asia, even out in America and the US. And we wanted to have that hospital who would be able to take care of you as a person or as a Cagayanon who was under an insurance of an international insurance. We would like to be able to take care of you here. And for our mission, I wanted our employees or everyone in the team to know our mission by heart. And so we made it simple. There's just 2. One is compassionate and optimum health care for our patients. Not only Northern Mindanao, but as ASEAN community, as I explained earlier. So just the compassionate and optimum health care. And the second one was that we should be taking care of each other, continuing professional development and research. So to help each other, we need to make sure that you realize that when you come into the hospital this way, in a year's time, you should be better than you were on day 1. So we have a very good example. This girl here in the middle, she's one of our very first employees. She's only a high school graduate. And we said, we will accept you to work because you are very good, but you need to go get your college degree. So she's now in her 2nd year, and she's nearing there. Okay, and research. We wanted to be very sure that we get better and better, ensure excellence in our healthcare delivery. So at the very start, we are going to be, we set our standards. Like for example, you get a laboratory, a doctor, you come in as a patient, and the doctor says you need a CBC. We'd like to know how long it will take, the standard of how long a doctor when the doctor writes the CBC in the chart to when it gets to the laboratory. Since we are hoping or we're pushing to become a paperless hospital, meaning all digital, so we've created an app so that this request will go to the laboratory. It should get there in 15 minutes. And from the laboratory technician to get the blood should be how many minutes, especially if it's emergency, or if it's elective, it's not an emergency. And then how many minutes the result gets back to the chart. Once we know that, then we can do research. We can do research if we are doing good or we are being delayed. So that's the kind of environment that we would like to develop here at St. Francis Doctors Hospital and Medical Center. The research so that we can get better and better in what we do. And so those are the two missions. It's easy lang. Okay? Take care of patients and take care of us so that we can become better. And for the hospital seal, I'd like to just share this with you so that you just know that this is what we are. This is the pentagonal armor. That's the one in red. That's 5, and that's leadership with integrity. When you say integrity, it's you will do exactly as you will say. So we have started to train our people in terms of like, there is a certain way that we would like to treat our patients. Like, for example, in the emergency room, you will be seen by an expert. The expert meaning somebody who knows, who's already a physician for a while already, a consultant maybe, or an emergency room physician. We will not give you somebody who is just a fresh graduate. That will be a no-no for us. Equality and diversity. We do not, actually it's equity and diversity. We will accept people who have different cultural beliefs, and then rather than be afraid of the differences, meld it together so that we can become better and we can take care of more people in the best way we should. Compassion and dynamism. There's always change, that's dynamism. But what do we mean by compassion? It means suffering with those who suffer. It's not going to be somebody, your physician or your employee of St. Francis will not be there to just look at you and say, anong karon ramang kanianhi, dugay naman din yung kubo, or dugay naman din kay gilanan. But we will want to sit down there and suffer with you so that we will be able to send you home happy. In the entire hospital, we will have huddle rooms. Huddle rooms is like because the nurse will be very busy. And so we're going to be looking towards having social workers sit down with you so that you will understand what it is that your patient is going through. And respect for human dignity. When we say human dignity, it means that patient is born human, and whatever he or she is, and whatever he or she, in whatever status he is, we will respect that. And strength through teamwork. As our Growing Old Together team says, we will be better. We are better when we are together and working together. And we have 4 guiding principles. Number 1 is service, even beyond training. Training is of course important, but service will always be ahead. And research, as I explained earlier, and management. We promise that we will give only the expert or those who are properly trained for the positions that they are hired for. And there are laurel leaves, and this means we inspire creativity, self-awareness, success, and prosperity. When I say creativity, I also mean that as president of this corporation, I'm not going to stay here forever. After 3-5 years, my creative juices will probably run out. So I would want and appreciate if somebody else would come in and give a boost to the organization. And of course, the laurel leaves means prosperity. We will always aim to earn from this. Maybe not really right away, because a hospital will really need to build itself up. We aim to have a cardiac cath lab, which will probably cost us about 100 million pesos. And the cardiac cath lab just means that if you have a heart attack from ER, we call it from door to needle, when you arrive with a heart chest pain in the emergency room, in 15 minutes, you should have your treatment already. And that's what we aim for. And maybe after all of this is in, then we can talk about return of investment. And that is the rod of Asclepius is a serpent entwined rod, which wielded by the Greek god Asclepius, and it's a deity associated with healing and medicine. So we really believe that there's a higher being, and we have the cross superimposing everything, and we believe that that is the symbol of life, and that we believe that there is somebody up there who can guide us, who can bring us where we need to go. And that's taking care of people. And so this is the hospital, and that's where we are at. It's right across Xavier Estates, and this is how we look like. It's a squarish thing, the rectangular thing. And the more important thing here for me is that we had one entry point at the start, but we wanted to get more entry, egress, and ingress areas so that a hospital will really function better if there's traffic here, we can go somewhere else. So we have two other ingress points when we bought these two other lots here. Okay, so this is how we look like. This is our perspective. I just call it a Rubik's Cube. Eventually, we hope to be able to be a tourist site also for people who want to go there and have pictures with us. And this is a green building. And as we talked earlier, Mama Marie, I was really reluctant already to, I was not very keen already. I was really very happy that it's green, because when you say green, that means that the air can go through the building so that we don't have to rely heavily on air conditioning units. And it is also the solar powers for electricity, and our water should be recyclable and all that. And so the point here where you have the trees, that is where our hemodialysis unit is and the oncology unit. And in these two areas, there will be patients who come in for about 1 to 3 hours for their hemodialysis or their oncology treatment. And we will have a garden for them that they can look at. So that's the kind of hospital we want to build. And here we have you have a driveway going down. During the focus group discussions, what we learned was that people did not want to see people who were bleeding. So we decided that our emergency room will be under. It will be in the lower ground where the x-rays will also be. And in the lower ground, that's where we can put people who will be in extremis. Those who are bleeding, those who are in heart attack or that, in severe pain, or maybe dying. And that's really to protect them also from people, from the prying eyes of people. And sometimes people will not be very generous about giving privacy to others. And we normally like to see what's happening there on the outside. So we wanted to protect these patients in the emergency room. So they're going to be in the lower ground. Yeah. So, but we have all these 10 floors and we have everything there, but we will just open 4 floors for now. That's the ER, radiology, and the business center in the lower ground. The upper ground will have the lobby, the pharmacy where you can drive through to get your request that you can go apply for buy through an app. And we'll have the laboratories there. We'll also have a breast milk clinic eventually. That will cost us a little bit more money, but our aim here as a corporate social responsibility is no child, at least in the uptown Cagayan de Oro, will be born without having breast milk. We'll try to get that. So that's a long-term vision for our hospital. And the 3rd floor, we will just be opening the delivery room. That's the only thing that's allowed for an infirmary. And so this is how it looks on the plans. It's not exactly like it now if you go visit us, but that's how it should look like. We changed the lighting system, but that's how our lobby is. And this is again another view of our upper ground lobby. It's all glass. It is covered. It's very difficult to clean glass. Anyways, and this is the lower ground. And the lower ground. And so our current plan is really an infirmary facility. And so this is the lower ground where we have the emergency room. But I just wanted to go through here. This is the upper ground where we have the pharmacy over there and our escalator. And for the infirmary, we will have our rooms out here in the mezzanine. Here in the mezzanine, we also have our doctor's offices. And let me see, the hospital rooms will have an ante room. So if you have guests that will have to visit you, they can stay out there. But here now during the pandemic, no guests allowed for now, just a watcher. But at least you'll have an ante room that they can stay there if they really want to visit and not disturb the patient. And I wanted to spend a little time here, and I hope you can see this clearly. This is our operating room on this side, and we have created a situation such that we have a non-sterile area, a sub-sterile area, and a sterile area. But as you can see at the back of the sterile area, we have the sub-sterile zone also. So we created this corridor here so that anything that's dirty from the operating rooms will just go past here, outside, and go into the cleaning area. So into the sub-sterile zone. And another thing that we are very proud about, there's two other things. For our CQ, that's a surgical intensive care unit, the intensive care unit, the pediatric intensive care unit, and the neonatal intensive care unit, we have made it possible so that anybody admitted into one bed will have a very small room at the back that is going to protect you from the elements outside. You will have a small bed and a space for your luggage. We realize that our patients will come from Bukidnon, Camiguin, all the other far areas, and we would like you to have a place to rest your back if your patient is in the hospital, in the ICU. And especially since a patient in the ICU will really be stressful for you. We would like you to rest there and not add on a cost to you for you to get another room in the hospital, which is going to have to be used for a real life patient. Not because you have a lot of money, you can get a room in our hospital. No, we will reserve that for patients, but we will give you a small room at the back of your patient so that you can rest also while waiting for your patient to get better at the ICU. And here in the NICU, we're very proud of this, that even if a child is very sick, this child should have the access to the mother for possible breastfeeding. We believe the child will get better faster if there is access, like the touch therapy and the breast milk from the mother. So our NICU may be very sophisticated and highfalutin, I call it highfalutin, but we have a corridor access so that the mothers can come in and breastfeed their babies. So now who are we? We are a group of founders, 60 founders, 56 for now, all over the Philippines. But this is really homegrown. There's 36 of us here in Northern Mindanao. Our chairman is Dr. MacArthur Conrad Salonga. He's also the president of ACE Cebu. And I'm the president. As I said, I woke up being president. And your vice president is a neurosurgeon, Dr. Donald Ko. Our corporate secretary is Dr. Yeban, internist. And Dr. Habines, our anesthesiologist, is a corporate treasurer. We have assistant secretary, Dr. Duenas, and assistant treasurer, Dr. Balakwit. And there are 15 board of directors and 11 of us are from Cagayan de Oro. So this is homegrown, home run. Those are our board members. And we have other founders, architects, businessmen, information technologists, but our hospital is mainly, we have really just been, majority of us are physicians. I hesitate to say that, I hesitate to tell you that we shy away from businessmen because we realize that when businessmen come in, they look at, not everyone, we don't say that you're Mocompera, but they look at return of investment. And that's really what you should be looking at. If you put in money, you should know when you're going to get a return of investment. Unfortunately, when you build a hospital, that's not going to be clear right away. In fact, we will have to wait for a few years or maybe 5 to 10 years before we can consider return of investment. Because at the start, what we intend to do is whatever gains we get, of course, we have to pay the bank for our loans, but we have to put in back so that we can become better and better and a more complete medical center. So that by the end of that time, we can provide the best kind of service, not only to Cagayan de Oro, but even to those who are outside. So this is our business plan. This is a triangle. And the usual hospital services are out here in the middle, specialty services. You're sick, we take care of you there. You're going to deliver a baby, we'll take care of you there. You want something removed, surgery here. That's the kind of specialty services. You want eyeglasses, we have there also. You need rehab, we have it there. But as you can see, the main business we'd like to have is the wellness center, meaning we would like to be able to take care of patients even before they get sick. So you are business owners, you probably belong to small businesses or big businesses. We'd like you to know that St. Francis is going to want to sell to you the idea that good health is wealth. So we would like to tell you that we have birthday packages for your employees so that every birthday they should come in for a checkup. You'd like to see if their heart, their liver, their lungs are good. And a specialist will be able to tell you so. So aside from laboratories, you will have a physician who will tell you what is best for you in the next year. And then next year, we'd like to see you again to make sure that you are well. So that's the wellness center. And we'd like to be able to give that. And I have approval from the board that we will have special prices, at least for the first 3 years of our existence, so that those who really want to do that can come in. And the other idea, the other reason why we have this kind of a product is so that everyone who wants to be able to take care to get our services will come into our database. The idea is we want you there, and we've created a database that's really privacy compliant and all that, so that when you come in, and for example, you're in an emergency, you come into an emergency room, just a click of our finger with the approval of your family and with your physician, we can see your medical history. Not like today when you come in, oh, kamusta ka? Okay raman, Dok. Na-hospital ka na before? Oo, Dok. Adike ko pahinong ko kung ano sa ako. I can't really quite remember when I was operated. I don't even remember the kind of diagnosis. And that's not going to help us, especially if we have to take care of you. So we'd like to put everyone into our database so that when needed, we can properly take care of you right away. That's the kind of system we'd like to have in our hospital. And then at the very tip of this triangle is the medical tourism. What does this mean? If you have surgery in another hospital, in another country, in the United States, usually it will really cost a lot. Medical services here in the Philippines, even if we say it's expensive, it's really cheaper compared abroad. So what we'd really like is for those who are abroad, especially those who are working there, whose insurance are from abroad, can come home and have their surgeries here and have downtime here. That's why we have 4 presidential suites, so that we can take care of you and make sure that you are comfortable. And your family then, who live here in Cagayan de Oro, can take care of you also. And there are some who would like to just come over for a nose lift, and we can give that to them. So these are the hospital services that we have put together, and our employees are aware of this, and we are all geared towards this kind of a vision for our hospital. So I guess that's all for me now. Thank you very much for the kind attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dures, for the very informative presentation and for the experiences that you have shared with us. We are so fortunate to have someone of your expertise to speak about leadership and administration. We learned a lot from your presentation, and surely we will do our best to apply your good leadership practices into our own endeavors. And indeed, the perspective of St. Francis Hospital looks amazing. Thank you for giving us somewhat like a tour of the hospital. We are so grateful that the president herself gave us a view of St. Francis. Thank you very much, Dr. Dures.
You're welcome. You're most welcome. It's a pleasure indeed. And in fact, I'm honored to be able to speak here before all of you.
Yes, thank you very much, Doc. And now, classmates, we have arrived to our open forum. But before we move on with the open forum, let's have our icebreaker first. Let's play games. Are you guys ready for the games? Ma'am Marie, shall we start with the games? Yes. So the first game is called Show Me. This is an online version of Bring Me. I believe everybody is familiar with the game Bring Me. So here, Ma'am Marie and Ma'am Shabi, kindly help me to spot the first person who can show me the item. Okay, classmates, everyone, let's start the first item. The first one is, since our subject is global entrepreneurship, so who can show me a globe? Is there somebody who can show me a globe for 100 pesos GCash? A globe.
With a picture.
Anything that you can touch, any tangible item. A globe. Is there anybody who has a globe around? I think this is quite difficult. Is there anybody or okay, for the count of 5, if nobody can show me a globe, let's change the item. Okay, remember this is for 100 pesos GCash. 5, 4. Oh! Wow, a big
there.
one. Sir Leov wins. Wow, he got a
Yay!
globe. Congratulations, Sir Leov. That's 100 pesos GCash. And for the next item, who can show me 3-in-1 coffee, any brand. 3-in-1 coffee, 1 sachet will do. 5. Oh, I think I saw someone raising a picture of Nescafe.
Sir Neil?
Yes, Sir Neil wins 100 pesos GCash. Okay, the third item will be 20 peso coin. Is there anybody who can show me? 5, 4, 3, 2. Oh, I
Miss
saw.
Honeyloo.
Yes,
Laban.
congratulations, Ma'am Hanilul Yaban, 100 pesos GCash. And let's proceed to our question and answer portion. 100 pesos GCash. Question number 1. What is the theme or the title of our webinar for today? Please raise a virtual hand to be acknowledged. Because is there somebody raising a hand already? What is the theme or title of our webinar for today? That's question number 1. Raise a virtual hand to be acknowledged. Mama Marie, is there anybody raising a hand?
I
What's the
don't see
title?
anyone.
Oh, this is so sad. What's the title of our webinar for today? Anybody?
If they manage to win already, are they still allowed to answer this one?
I think it's better to give chance to others.
Okay.
Okay, let's give chance to others so they can have also the 100 pesos GCash. What's the title of our webinar? Somebody from the class? Oh no, Mama Marie.
It's in the GC actually. You could go there.
I should have asked a different question. Anybody?
They're shy. They know, I'm sure.
Yes.
Shy.
It's just us classmates. Don't be shy. Oh, Mom Divina is raising her hand. Mom Divina, good morning.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Yes, Mom.
Hello.
Yes, and your answer is?
World-class leadership and hospital administration.
Or
technology application and leadership and knowledge series.
Yes, it's flashing on the screen. Yes, Ma'am Divina, you got it.
Thank you.
That's for 100 pesos GCash. And for the second question, we all know that Dr. Do, our dean, is also handling classes. I would like to ask, is there anybody here who knows what subjects or course descriptions does Dr. Do handles in the graduate school? Subjects or course description that Dr. Do handles in the graduate school? Please raise a virtual hand. We have Mr. Wendell Damasco. Yes, sir. Just one subject will do.
Thesis writing, ma'am.
Yes, this is writing 1 and 2 and dissertation 1 and 2. That's for 100 pesos Gcash. So, Ma'am Marie, we already have 4 winners, right? 4 or 5 winners?
We have five
Okay, so
winners.
let's have one more because our budget here is 650, Ma'am Marie, right? 650. And for the third question, what is the subject code of our class? Subject code of our class? We have Mom Tennessee. Yes, Mom Tennessee. Hello, Mom.
Maybe she's having technical difficulty. Perhaps she could place it in the chat box.
Yes, hello, Mom Tennessee.
It's in the chat box, ma'am.
Okay. Yes, the answer is correct. MGT216, that is correct. So we already have 6 winners, and I think our budget is just enough for 6 winners, Ma'am Marie, right? Okay, so that was fun, classmates. Thank you very much for your active participation, and we are done with our icebreaker. So let's move on now to our open forum. Okay, so for those who wants to share their ideas or their anything about our presentation, or those who have questions, kindly raise your virtual hand, or you can post your questions by utilizing our chat box. Who's the first one who would like to raise?
I would like to throw the first question
Yes,
to
Ma'am
Dr.
Marie.
Dures. Dr. Dures, is the hospital already accepting HMO cards, and what are these cards?
We are just about to start on January 17, and we have not had a formal contract with our HMO. We are still talking to them about this. But we promise that once the agreements are already cemented, we will be making them public so that those who have cards can come into the hospital.
Thank you, Dr. Dures. Any more questions?
Divina is raising her hand. Please acknowledge her.
Yes,
Hello,
Ma'am
Ma'am
Divina.
Divina.
Does Ma'am Divina have a question for Dr. Dures?
That was probably from the game earlier.
I have a question here from Ma'am Anafel Hentapa. There's already established hospitals around CDO. As a new hospital, what's your strategy to create competitive advantage? Dr. Dures, that's the question.
Yes, thank you for that question, Ma'am Anafel. I'd like to just step back a little from competitive advantage. We have from the very start said we are not going to put ourselves into a competition. It's just that we are going to be providing services in an area where there is still no hospital present. Mainly the idea is if somebody gets sick up here and uptown, they will have to travel at least 15 minutes during the day to the nearest hospital, or 5 minutes during the midnight to the nearest hospital. What we want to do is you will have a hospital within 1 to 2 minutes if you desire, if you need the hospital. So really, the competitive advantage is not something that we aim for, but what we got is because we are in a hospital, in a location where there is still no hospital. So that's the advantage that we have. So the strategy, however, for the businesses, as a corporate this is a corporate business. A hospital is still a corporate business. Is really to be able to get in as many who can use our services as we can. So that's why we are looking at the wellness perspective, that people need to be able to invest in their health even before they get sick. And that's the kind of advocacy we would like to spread out. Now, it's happening in other hospitals. This is not new, but since we are a new hospital up here, this is what we would like to share to the 27 villages that surround our hospital and to the five other districts or provinces that have access to the road that we are on. So that's the kind of strategy that we have. It's really something that it's really that the hospital itself is our strategy. Do I answer your question, Annabelle? Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dures. And we have one more here, Mom Princess Salvador.
Good morning, Doc Doris. Good morning, Doc Cliff and classmates, and to our dean, good morning. I have a question to Doc Doris. Doc, in the event, God forbid, if there is another global medical emergency, what wisdom have you gained from the current pandemic would you apply? That's my question, Doc.
Okay, you know, my princess, even before we had the pandemic and when we put down our plans for this hospital, in retrospect, we were saying, if you understand what disease is, and if you understand what public health is, you will create your hospital in such a way so that our hospital, our floor plan is created in such a way that we are pandemic ready. We are COVID ready, actually, if you call it like that, because our entrance is different from our exits, especially in the areas where it matters. Our patients that are going to be very sick, they are going to need isolation, are already placed in one wing of the hospital. They are going to be in 1/4 of a floor of the hospital, and that's our isolation ward. At the moment, that's not really something that most hospitals have. Their isolation wards are like at the end of a corridor of patients, or they convert one ward to make it isolation. But this St. Francis has a wing in the hospital itself that is ready for such global crisis. Of course, our employees are already being trained so that in their minds, they should be able to respond to such a case. We are not a COVID hospital. We did not apply to be so because there's many things that you need to do to become a COVID hospital. But if in case a COVID patient comes in, we're going to be able to take care of them. What we had to do, however, to respond to the global crisis was to create a triage hospital, a triage building outside of our hospital. We envisioned our hospital to have a very nice facade, beautiful with plants and all of that, but we had to change them. We had to put that aside and put in a very sterile building in the middle that looks very, building-like, aseptic-like, because we wanted you, when you come into our hospital, God forbid, if you have to come into our hospital, you will go into a triage that is not a tent. We have a building there where you can be seen, and of course, it can also protect the others. You will still be distanced from each other. You can be seen. You can have an X-ray there. We will have our fully digital mobile X-ray in the triage building, and you can have a swab there also. A swab where you will be in private. You will not be seen by a lot of people, where people can take a picture of you and when your nose is being poked. You will have. That's what we have there. So that's the kind of a hospital that we have at the moment. I believe that if you do know the principles to take care of disease, you can plan out something so that when the pandemic arrives, you're practically 50% ready for it. Then what kind of pandemic it is, then that's the other 50%. I hope I answered your question. Ma'am Princess. Yeah. And Diana, can we call Ma'am Natalie?
Oh, yes. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Doc. And the next one is Ma'am Natalie Palayapoy. Ma'am Natalie.
Ma'am, Doc, good morning. I'm just fascinated as you are the first pediatric surgeon I've met. What makes you decide to take up pediatric surgery, and what is the most, so far, sensitive pediatric surgery you have performed? Actually, I was curious about this kasi my nephew was supposed to be undergo a surgery when he was about two weeks old. So na-touch yung ano ko for that kind of surgeon. So
all right. The question is about me being a pediatric surgeon. I just wanted to operate, as I told you in the talk. I just wanted to operate. I knew my hands could do work. I mean, I'm in the house. I'm the one who tinkers around with the leak faucet and all that. And there's just people who are like that, right? But when I went and trained as a general surgeon, I finished everything. I took the exams and I came home. I came home to Cagayan de Oro. And then, since you're new, you get to assist with an older doctor, an older physician, an older surgeon, because you're just starting out. So I did assist. And we operated on a very small baby. And it broke my heart when he said, there's nothing we can do for this baby. So it was an open and closed thing. We opened and then we closed. Sakit kaya kong dughan. Why? Because we had just said nothing, just ended that baby's life. Not that we did it, it was his condition that it ended it. And I did not feel the conscience na namatay siya lugar. You know, there's really a natural means of elimination and all of that. But the idea is we could have done better. So I went back to Manila and trained in pediatric surgery. And I really trained focused on this very small babies, because big, general surgeons can operate on children also, especially the big ones. But the very small ones, they usually leave it to us. So that's the kind of care I'd like to give. And there are many stories that I've had about pediatric surgery, and one of them was the patient that I've talked about this often, that this baby was born with all the intestines outside, so we had to operate at day 0, and we operated. And since the baby was very small, about a kilo lang siya, and on the table, she became so cold, and she arrested. Then she died 3 times, and we resuscitated her. And at the end, I just said, let's just close up and go. And we did. And she stayed in the hospital for about a month or so, and then she left, and then we forgot about her already. And I thought that, if they don't come back to you, they probably died. So I just said, sad. It was such a difficult case. And then she came back when she was older. And she came back and she asked she asked for a medical certificate. She wanted to join the volleyball varsity. So iyak ako, Natalie, because she was, and I had took a picture of her. She's taller than me, and that's why I like pediatric surgery. And I have another story of a little boy who came in with his intestines in the lungs, and we had to operate on him. And usually that's just a usual procedure. That can be done right away. And we did it. Unfortunately, what we cannot control is some complication. And this patient had a complication, and all the intestines exited out of the incision site. We go was. And oh my goodness, I said, and I was in Manila then, because I had a case to do. I had a conference in Manila. So I had to rush back to Cagayan de Oro, and I was faced with the intestines coming out of his tummy. And I said, oh my goodness, what will we do? And this baby was very small. So we did another surgery, and it was really a very, very stormy 2 months in the hospital. And practically every night I was on my knees praying that the baby will do better. And eventually we were able to discharge the baby. And 2 months later, I was seeing him on Facebook, and he was such a cute little boy. And now he's like 5 years old. And these are the stories that make me really, really happy. When of course they they do not really mean that it was because of us. It's really because uh, we were um, we were made the instruments for them to get better, and that humbles us. So that's my experience as a pediatric surgeon. And even until now, I continue to attend conferences because we continue to change, to improve on our craft, and we get to be able to take care of of patients, smaller patients, bigger diseases, in smaller, in shorter periods of time, at at smaller expense. Also, that's important.
Thank you, Doc. That's a very uh, inspiring thing to do. Thank you very much.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Doc Dures. And we have one from Sir Neil Bryan. Sir Neil.
Good morning, Doc. This is not actually a question, but more of a request. Doc, in general terms, you as a highly successful person, very inspiring, an individual who is in the top level management, what is your advice or pieces of advice can you give to us or to the young professionals and to the youth who are also aspiring to be successful soon?
What helped me a lot was developing the right kind of habits. Okay, and this I learned from my teachers. Habit to listen and to learn. You see, your teachers have gone through so much already. Daghan na sila, they've already had failures. And why do you want to go through failure yourself? Why don't you just listen to them and just follow what they're saying, right? So that's one thing. And the other thing is really to develop the correct kind of habits, because they become your attitude and eventually they become your character. If you come in late all the time, you will be somebody people cannot depend on. If you come in late all the time, it just means you don't respect other people's time. So at the very start, I decided I wanted to come on time, and that will be a habit. And that habit has turned into an attitude, and that attitude has turned into my character. So that when I say something, you can trust it. I will do it. That's why when my daughter says, buy me this, I will say, yes, if I have the money for it. But I will not say yes, just period, because I might not be able to do it. So as a young student then, and as a young hospital administrator, it really helped me to listen to others' experience, to go into as much training as possible, and to build on myself, become a better person, so that others can be influenced in that manner also. I cannot say you become better if I did not go through it yet. As a teacher also, I say, I cannot teach. I cannot teach what I am not, and I cannot expect from my students what I have not taught. So if I did not tell you that this is the correct thing, I do not expect it out of you. So it's really just very pragmatic, just very, very practical for me. Develop your right habits, develop yourself first, and then your sphere. And then this sphere can really become bigger and bigger. Now, I did not think that I would become a national officer, but just the simple talking to people and being able to listen and to talk to them and show them who you are is, I guess, what's the most important thing here. So that
No,
if there's any kind of
deliverables nyo, Dan.
wala tayong deliverables dito. So that when in case some things really just fail, then you'll just have to accept that it failed, dust off yourself, stand up, and go make yourself a better person. Use that new experience. I guess, Neil, listen, experience, develop yourself. That's what's important.
Thank you for that, Doc. And we have one more question from Miss Shabi. Dr. Dures, is there a point in your life that you get tired in being a leader? If so, how did you cope up with that?
Got tired of being a leader. No, I'm not tired. I never get tired of being a leader. Every time I'm called, I'm there. It's just that there are some days you get tired because there's just so many things you do. But what do I do? What is my coping mechanism? I have a lazy hour. I wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning and even sometimes earlier. And there's this 1 hour, 6 to 7 or 5:30 to 6:30 that I do not do anything at all. I do not do anything. Maybe I answer texts, I read, I do. It's just my me time. I sit down here and if you can see from my window, let me just show you a little bit of my window here. Um, it grounds me once again. And this is the kind of window, this is where I am at. I'm sorry, you can't see it all, but that's me. And that's the kind of life I live. I always should have that 1 hour, and that 1 hour is going to be a lazy hour for me, and that will just put me right back where it should be. And then the rest of the day can go crazy. I can have a lot of, and then I can have 3 meetings going at the same time, and it's kind of funny sometimes because you're supposed to have a serious meeting here, and then you're asked to smile because in the other meeting you're supposed to have a screenshot, and so you're smiling at a serious meeting, and it gets crazy. But I think the coping is that I understand who I am and what I need. So I may not need a lot of sleep. Like 5 hours is really enough for me, but I need my lazy time. And that's when I do not do anything at all. It's for me. I hope that helps you.
Thank you, Dr. Dures. And another question from Ms. Eileen Rances. Doc, given all the things that you are doing right now, what values can you share with us, especially that most of us here are also juggling many roles, aside from working and being enrolled in this class?
Values. Well, there are just some priorities in my life that are non-negotiable. That's God, family, and country. And then I put everything else in order. Uh, um, I have to know. I have to have time to pray. That's not negotiable for me. And then I that's why I go to. I have responsibilities at church, and that's very crucial. It just grounds me also. And then there's my family that I love, and they'll always be priority. But because they know that they're priority, they understand when I'm doing a lot of things together, when I have to juggle a lot of things. And the work, I just need to understand which is the most important thing and that which needs a lot of my time. So the one that needs a lot of your time sometimes is not the most important thing. You need to understand that. So siguro knowing what's best for a lot of people is important. But the other thing is I schedule my week also so that on Mondays I do this, on Tuesdays I do this, and Thursdays I do this. But I am not confined to that schedule. It's flexible in terms of the fact that if there's an emergency, I need to be able to take care of that emergency also. And siguro being a surgeon, really, I'm not easily rattled by things. So a problem comes up. Doc, let's say this morning, some people turned positive and COVID positive, and you think on your feet, and you just give the right decisions. And the idea is, after you make those decisions, they have to be kept. You stand by them, so that the people you give the decision to will know that you have their back. I guess that's no. When we become a leader, we'll just really have to have a lot of hats. It's just important that we know which are the priorities at which times and schedule them appropriately. But you know, the non-negotiables in my life are there. My belief, my faith, my family, friends, my work, in that order. Did I answer you well, Eileen?
So much for sharing your insights on that matter, Doc.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Dores. And I think we are going to entertain just one more question here because of our time constraints. We have a question from Sir Menok. Good morning, Doc Dures. What should the people expect in the future in health-related technology that St. Francis Doctors Hospital can offer to Cagayanons?
Oh, there's many, but I'd like to be very specific about one thing. The hospital is acquiring, and it will be coming in January 17, the only X-ray of its kind. It is an X-ray that can take a picture of the entire body so that we can see your skeletal structure and can then appropriately help you if you have spine problems or any other problems in your body that can be seen on X-ray. We are the only ones who have that. We also have specialists that are, you know, significant in their fields, and we will be creating their sphere in our hospital so that we can provide that kind of a service. For example, COVID, post-COVID syndromes, we will need to have rehab for that, and we have the person who is going to be working on that, who's going to be trained. She left to Korea already, and she's going to be coming back to help us take care of post-COVID patients. It's not because you are done with COVID, you're done with. Most of the time, there's residual problems. So we'd like to be able to take care of you there. And there's so much more, but we'd like to be able to share that when the time comes. Ma'am Dayan, there's a question here that I'd like to maybe answer from Ma'am Emily.
Yes, ma'am. From Mom
Emily Jan.
Emily John.
What keeps you grounded? What is the thing you get do to get back and not to be hung up on your role? I talk to my family, and they are very, very, very practical and very honest. So when I come home and I say, I just got this award, I'm so happy with that. Oh, you got this award. You're here in a month. So they keep me grounded, and I'm very happy to have a family who is very honest with me. And I guess that's one thing that's important for us. We need to be able to hear honest feedback so that we should be able to we should accept criticism, and this criticism and feedback should allow us to become better, not to put us down, because when they give us criticism, we know that in their heart, they love us and they just want us to be better. So I guess that grounds me. I cannot fly up in the air and feel like I'm some highfalutin leader or something. No, I'm still a mother at home who needs to put medicine on my daughter's ingrown tummy. That's me, and I'm grounded. Thank you. Thank you, Ma'am Dayan.
Oh, indeed, Doc, that was great. Family, love, and care is the most important thing, I guess. I must agree with you. And once again, Doc Dures, thank you very much for the presentation and for being our speaker for today. Your presentation was well received by our class. The information you shared are very timely and essential, and we can surely apply them as we aim to be good leaders ourselves. And we highly appreciate the knowledge and experiences that you have shared with us. And we also appreciate that you took some time off from your busy schedule to be with us today. We are so grateful for everything that you have shared. And with this, allow us to show our gratitude through a certificate of appreciation to be presented by Mr. Leover Cabonok. Sir Leov.
Good morning. Can I request Sir Carl to flash the certificate? Sir Carl.
Sir Leov, I have it with me also, so I'll do it in behalf of Sir Carl.
Okay, so Certificate of Appreciation is hereby presented to Dr. Dures Tagayuna for her invaluable time and effort during the webinar on world-class leadership and hospital administration as part of Cyber Talks, Technology, Applications, Leadership, and Knowledge series. given this 8th day of January 2022 at Capital University, Cagayan de Oro City. Signed, Dr. Heidi Grace Mendoza, Chairman of Management Department, Graduate School, Capital University, and Dr. Edwin C. Du, Dean, Graduate School of Capital University. A virtual round of applause, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And thank you also, Doc. Now I would like to call on our professor, Dr. Clifford Roa, to conclude this webinar with his closing remarks. Sir Cliff.
Thank you very much. We hope we had a lot more time, but we understand Dr. Doris has another engagement while the class is supposed to have their next session for another class, another subject by 10 a.m. But our gratitude is extended not only to the leaders and the entire class force for this subject, but also for the opportunity given to us by Dr. Doris Tagayuna. She spared us her very busy schedule, but with the knowledge and with the sharing that she gave to us, makes us more in realizing that we can do more, we can share more, we can manage more, or we can administer more in different aspects of our respective lives. And Dr. Doris, we would like to congratulate you on being an awardee during the third Mindanao Governance Leadership Excellence Award. It's been shared to our class, the photo and the certificate, and the award is just one of those recognition, because the true award that we can give you has already been given. The fact that many children, many young people were really treated with your compassion, with your help, and with your prayers. You shared to us many times how had your life had been changed, and with your team also, with doctors, anesthesiologists, and all medical people. Those are the fulfillment that we see, that you can do more in the community because of this expansion of your service with the hospital, and in a way that would really unsa na lang mi nga mga dili nga mga doktor ug medical professionals, unsa na lang matabang namo nga gatan-aw rami o gakao rami sa imuhang marvel in serving the community. But rest assured, as we are taught in Rotary, any vocation, any profession is a service to the community. So we encourage these young people here in our class, when Rotary comes knocking to you and you are invited, please accept the challenge, because it's one way that we see a doctor build a hospital, we see an engineer build a bridge, we see leaders change and transform the community. We all are on the same page to make this world a better place. This officially ends the semester, and please accept my apology for ending the semester and we have not seen one another physically, and we are supposed to have it in January, but Omicron really gave us an unfavorable situation to see each other in the golf course, to have one lunch or one breakfast with our class. But rest assured, magbangga man ta sa mall or any other place, please, no need to take off your mask, but please introduce, let us find avenue to reconnect and to link, because then again, when two or more people try to find ways to serve this community, we can do better, we can do more. Dr. Dores, sa akong pamilya, sa atong community, sa atong grupo, sa atong Rotary, daghang salamat sa imong panahon. And in behalf of the entire workforce of Capital University Graduate School, this specific class who waited for 3 weeks for the delay of this event, salamat kayo sa opportunity nga nagkita, nag-convene, and in one way or another, we learn so many things from you. Thank you very much. Back to you. Back to you. Back to Marie and back to
Okay. Thank you, Sir Cliff, and thank you, Dr. Dures. I now request everyone to please open their camera so that we could take a group picture. Requesting the technical team to please take a screenshot of the group. And please do tell if it's already done. Thank you, Sir Carl.
All right. Please turn on your cameras. But we have 2 pages. We'll take the first page po. 1, 2, 3, smile. And then second page po tayo. There are many people sa first page. Okay po, we'll take in 3, 2, 1. Ayan. Done na po.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
Doc.
Thank you,
Godspeed,
Doc
everyone.
Dures.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you, Dr. Dores. Thank you, everyone. Guys, we just send over in the next couple of days the requirement for the final exam, but it's gonna be a simple one because this is the main component of our activity. And please apprise also your classmates so we're not able to make it in any way or another. The sharing is also shared in a recorded Zoom as well as in the Facebook, in the YouTube live. Thank you very much and enjoy or be blessful in the next subjects that you have for the rest of the day. Take care, everyone. God bless.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you,
Doc.
Doc.
Thank you po, Sir Cliff. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank